I do think there are things to learn from corporate operations because of that level of structure and system and process. I mean, I don't think that people flourish in those environments, but at the same time, there is like you can find a happy medium, right? That's like one extreme. Did you learn anything during that time?
It's funny because we just really started reusing that information, and to be quite honest, I'm not even the one that put it into practice. It was my chef de cuisine at Mofo that did, Paul Schell. I mean, he was the one that really, like, everything used to be in portion bags.
Yeah. So what do you reusing that information mean? The information
meaning
you
like now everything at Mofo is portioned.
Okay.
It's portioned and wrapped, and I mean we don't use bags. We use parchment paper. You cut we get little parchment paper like patty papers, and you roll everything up so you don't have all that plastic waste.
Yeah, man. So what's the significance of that, of going through those steps? I feel like we're in present time, but like it's worth pulling back a layer.
So the big thing is, like, I worked for chefs that were all about the food for so long that I never worried about the bottom line, and so it was like my business partner came to me and he's like, Mike, we have all these awards on the walls, and we're broke. Yeah,
and that's a reality, man. Like, and it's something that I picked up on. Like the people that others, and this isn't meant to be a bash by any means,
please bash away.
But the people that we all look up to when we admire in the industry for getting these accolades and being the best, right? Are even they are just getting by. And what does that say about the industry? What needs to change within the industry if even the best are like really just like barely getting by, barely paying their employees? And I'm making assumptions here. I don't know if that's the reality of your situation, but I know it's the reality for a lot of other people I've interviewed.
So, I mean, like I said, the whole COVID thing, it has to come into play here.
Yeah.
Right before COVID hit, we finally had both restaurants running. Like Mofo was running at a 22% food cost. Maypop was running at a 27. Our labor was still through the roof. I mean, the one thing that we just cannot control in restaurants is the labor, because especially now, because I refuse to pay my cooks shit pay, and so we can't go back to those days. When I started cooking in August, I was paying $7 an hour.
That wasn't that long ago. That's 2007.
No. I started cooking there in 2001.
Okay, gotcha.
Making $7 an hour, living on a friend's couch just because I wanted to work at the best restaurant in the city.
Yeah.
And, once again, you almost have to check your privilege on that. I had enough friends with enough money where I could live on someone's couch, or if I had to, I could have gone back and lived at my mom's house to make sure I could live and work at this restaurant for $7 an hour to learn my craft.
Yeah.
And so we come up with that same kind of thing. Well, if I had to work for that way, then they have to work that way too. It's like, dude, no, these people need a life.
Yeah.
Like, they need to be able to afford an apartment because, like, the rents in New Orleans are stupid high.
That's actually a topic that I'm really torn on, because I say to people, like don't take a job. The first 5-10 years, or 5 years at least, of your career, take the job that's going to give you the knowledge and the network that you're going to need,
right,
and the brand that you're going to need to get investors, and you're writing your story, right? Do whatever it takes to get it in those circles. But at the same time, like you're saying, like, people need to live. So like, where do we draw the line? Like how do you find that balance between sacrifice and defending yourself and getting what you deserve?
Right. And so for everything leading up to, once again, the end of the world that happened 3 months ago, I started having just serious conversations with each cook before they came on. I was like, man, like, what are your expenses like? What do you need? Like, I mean, and I'd be honest with them. I'd talk to them about the amount of revenue this place would make in a day, how much revenue it had to make in a month, and what my labor costs had to be. And we'd settle on a pay price. It was usually anywhere between $13 and $15 an hour. Yeah,
but that's a smart way of doing it. And honestly, like, that's what we should be teaching people is, like, what do you need? Start there, work backwards, right? Profit first. Like, what do we need? What do you need to be healthy, right? And more people, how do we get the whole industry to work like that? I feel like if everybody gets on that boat, if everybody gets on that page of, like, we all agree that our employees are the most important thing, right? Like, how do we make, is that a regulation? Does it need to be a regulation? Like, I hope it doesn't.
But once again, it comes down to the whole, are you going to do a minimum wage, a high minimum wage? And then it goes down to politics and fighting. And the problem is like, we live in our own little bubble. Those of us that came up working in great restaurants that want to open great restaurants, but we always forget about that whole other side of the industry of fast casual, your Chili's and your things like that. I mean, it's all about bottom line with those restaurants. And but then that's also the problem that my business partner had to bring to me is like, we're not hitting our bottom line.
Yeah.
Like, we're living paycheck to paycheck. We're living payroll to payroll.
Yeah.
Maypop's and Mofo's payroll combined every 2 months was $130,000.
Damn.
And that's 2 80-seat restaurants. Because we pay our managers well.
Yeah.
Because we need good managers that know wine knowledge and know cocktail knowledge. Bar manager, a chef de cuisine, 2 sous chefs.
Yeah.
And it's like, because you have to cover all the shifts, because I'm not going to do that to people what was done to me. They all get 2 days off.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the solution is just what comes into my mind is just this idea of togetherness that seems to be echoing throughout the industry and throughout the world right now. Whenever there's a huge disaster, like we put our differences aside and we come together, right? And I hope that the spin-off of all that's happening is that we start to realize that we need to find a balance. And I think that the talent, people like yourself who are craftsmen, who focus on the thing. Some people would say artists, right? Come together.
Well, what's the line between craft and art?
Yeah. What's that?
What's the
I don't know.
I've had this conversation in bars with other line cooks since I was 19 years old. The line between craft and art, but you can't do art until you know the craft.
Yeah.
And so you spend years learning your craft, and we've always been a big proponent of taking time to learn your craft, because how can I teach you how to make a hollandaise if I don't know how to make a hollandaise? And that's the big problem with all of the ability to pull everything off the internet, and like what was the crazy book that came out with all the breakdowns, like the $400 book set that
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about, like, it had 10 books or 8 books to it.
No. It was God, what is it called? Modernist Cuisine.
Yes.
When Modernist Cuisine came out, I was like, dude, like this what all is in this book is knowledge that took me 10 years to learn. But at the same time that I was learning it, I was also being shown over a hot stove.
Yeah.
And so there was this eruption of culinary knowledge. And then you have a lot of people who talk someone into backing a restaurant when the cook really just knows stuff from Modernist Cuisine and not actually how to grind on a station. Because like here, I mean, I had a cook who had, he had seizures, and one time he had a seizure and I had to work sauté the rest of the night. And it's like, but I know how to work sauté.
Yeah.
I know how to work a pasta station.
It's one thing to know how to cook. It's another thing to know how to work in the restaurant environment.
Right.
Is what I'm hearing.
Which gets hard. And man, we're moving so fast. There was something I wanted to talk about, and now
we're going to be jumping all over.
There was really a point that I wanted to make, and then we moved.
I try to stay chronological, but honestly, I'm loving the conversation, so I'm willing to let it kind of.
Okay, no,
float around.
I got it. So now with the big problem now, so the problem with restaurants and the problem that there is not enough money for all the staff is because there's too much staff, and that's a serious issue. People want high service, but they don't want to pay for it. And I understand, because they don't have money either. Yeah. And so there was so COVID happened, but before COVID there was already a bubble coming. Yeah. And the bubble came from, there was and the problem is, like, I am just like a whole bunch of other chefs. We went and we worked our fucking asses off, and we
can say fucking, by the way.
We built our pedigrees. Yeah. And we open great restaurants, but there's just too many great restaurants. Yeah, well, I mean, I think I agree with that sentiment that there's too many restaurants. I think part of that issue is because of the fact that we have so many so much retail space is void because nobody's doing retail anymore. So the only thing that works in physical retail space is restaurants. So now you have buku bucks, people that are developers who have money that are building these buildings and need to put something into those buildings, just throwing money at restaurants. So there's like this infinite like bucket of people just throwing but they want that money
investing.
Back.
Yeah, exactly. But there's too many restaurants, so we're just, I don't know. I feel like the conversation is supposed to be about you and your story, but like I'm loving this.
But I mean, this is my story.
This is the reality.
And so
right?
the problem is like if someone wants to have great service here, and we even run this like there's no back waiter here, that all we have is a food runner. Yep. But we should have back waiters for the level of service we were doing here with wine service, and we were dropping mini ardis, we were dropping amuse-bouche. I mean, we made them more, like every mid-level, like borderline high-end fast casual. We made it more communal, like it was an amuse for the whole table, and everyone picked up with their hands. Same thing with the mini ardis. But we were doing these things, and I mean that really requires it's so many more steps to the dining experience. Yeah, and we were running a really high, like a really nice wine catalog, and that requires a lot of knowledge and a lot of learning, and so. these staff were putting in the hours, but we couldn't demand the prices of like in August. You know, our guest check average was around $45 a head here.
Okay. Well,
the guest check average at August was closer to 70.
So what changed between those two? Is it just?
It's just we forget that fine dining restaurants are for two things: the ultra rich and special occasions. And yet now, so no more of us are trying to occupy that mid range because we need more people to come through the door.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed today's video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. And don't forget, there's a complete archive of every episode at restaurantunstoppable.com. Peace.